The strategic Bitcoin reserve was introduced by Senator Lummis at Bitcoin Nashville. At that point, the outcome of the election was uncertain. If it had been a split Congress, if it had not been a red wave, it would have been a challenge. But today, you have a pro-Bitcoin White House, pro-Bitcoin House of Reps, and a pro-Bitcoin Senate, and a pro-Bitcoin senator that has made her mission to accomplish this. And her bill calls for 1 million Bitcoin to be purchased by the United States government over 5 years.
A parabolic Bitcoin rally could be on the horizon as the U.S. government gears up for a massive buying spree. This bold prediction comes from Michael Saylor, executive chairman of MicroStrategy, who shared his insights at a recent digital assets conference. Saylor declared that Bitcoin's moment has arrived, with conditions aligning for a sweeping financial and political transformation. He highlighted the emergence of a pro-crypto red wave in Washington and the introduction of the groundbreaking Bitcoin Reserve Bill by Senator Cynthia Lummis. This bill proposes integrating Bitcoin into the nation's financial reserves, a move that could legitimize Bitcoin on an unprecedented scale and propel its value to unimaginable height. Saylor remains confident that Bitcoin is just beginning its journey, with growth potential far beyond what we can currently envision. Stay tuned until the end of the video to hear Saylor's latest insights on the Bitcoin Reserve Bill and its game-changing implications for the future of cryptocurrency.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
Bitcoin represents the transformation of our capital from financial and physical assets to digital. What we've created is an asset without financial risk that's in a currency or a stock, and without physical risk that's in real estate or property. And that makes it digital capital. Not digital currency, digital capital. Everyone that's a hater, everyone that's skeptic, like, oh, it's a digital currency, it won't work. Well, that's because you decided to define it as the wrong thing. Yes, it's not a currency, right? It's capital. Once you understand it as capital, you realize that you ought to compare it to a $100 million building in Miami and think about the benefits of owning a building versus owning a digital building. What if I could own a building that had no tax, no traffic, no tenants, no torts, no trouble, no weather, no corrosion? And what if it was an invisible, indestructible, immortal, teleportable building? Well, I mean, I think I'd rather have it than the $100 million building in New York, but I'm sure I'd rather have it than the $100 million building in Moscow. Digital capital is global capital. And that means that if I gave you $100 million and I put you in Africa, or I put you in Russia, or I put you in China, and I said, buy $100 million worth of stuff, keep it for 30 years, or buy 100 million of Bitcoin, there's no doubt you'd rather have the 100 million in Bitcoin. There's not a single thing you want to own in Africa that's better than Bitcoin. And when people start to think of it that way, you realize that this is the solution to global capital, and it's inevitable that all the capital in the world is going to flow into this network, because whereas you might think New York is good and Miami is good, no one's arguing that any random city in Nairobi is better than New York or better than Miami, right? It's just not a question. So when you put that on my map here, you see Bitcoin solves a problem. It's the 1,000-year asset, right? What if you just wanted to be wealthy forever? Well, I mean, like, there's an entire industry that's wrapped up in that idea of how do I keep my money. Bitcoin is this digital capital that has a useful life not of 30 years, but maybe 30,000 years. And that's the profound idea. It's stretching your time horizon to a different place. And what backs it? Oh, it's not backed by anything. People say that. It's not backed by anything. It's backed by power. The same thing that backs everything in the world. Raw power, a lot of it is backed by digital power, political power, economic power. 733 exahash is more power than Amazon or Apple or Google could muster, or Microsoft could muster to attack the network right now, or any nation state. It is the most digital power. 18 gigawatts is 18 full-on nuclear reactors. It's more than the United States Navy runs on. 850 billion of real capital. People have taken 850 billion of real money, deposited in the bank that we call Bitcoin. You think those people aren't going to fight to defend the 850 billion? There's a lot of economic power. 420 million crypto advocates. You just saw the impact on the election on Tuesday night. 220 million holders. It's the most powerful crypto network in the world. It's 99% of the power in the crypto network. It is the dominant one. It's 100x more powerful than the next best one. That's why I say there isn't a second best, is because this is all the power. Another way to say it, all the smart money in the world ask the question, how do I store my money in cyberspace and not lose it? And they kick the tires on 10,000 crypto networks and 1,000 other ideas and 100,000 other investment ideas. And if they like the idea of put your money in cyberspace in a crypto network, they pick Bitcoin, it's the winner. Right? If you're the smart money, you go to where the smart network is. If there's a bank with $100 billion in it in your town, and another guy opens up Dude's Bank with $10, you don't say the bank with the $100 billion is overvalued and Dude's Bank is the best investment. You put your money in the bank with all the rich people. It's just the smart thing to do. Bitcoin is emerging as the dominant digital monetary network. Now, when I use the word emerging, not because it isn't, it already is. I just use the word emerging because 95% of the people with the money in the world don't understand that there's a digital monetary network yet. When they understand that the class exists, they'll realize that Bitcoin is the winner. Once they realize it exists, it's like I said, it's like Facebook for money, except when Rupert Murdoch shows up to Bitcoin, he'll bring billions and billions of dollars. He won't just bring 27 friends and a few party invitations. 12 out of the top 20 ETFs launched in 2024 are related to Bitcoin in some way. It's obviously eating the ETF market. It's now the 7th largest asset by market cap. 7th. And it's the most widely recognized, widely held, compelling investment asset in the world. Right? What's above it? Alphabet, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, they're all securities in the US. There's no way that a Chinese or a Russian company is going to capitalize on those things. Gold, the best idea in the 19th century, dead money, right? So what do I expect? I think we actually chew through, 1 through 6 sometime soon. Spot ETFs have $90 billion of AUM. BlackRock's ETF for Bitcoin has actually outstripped their gold ETF in less than a year. Gold's been around for 5,000 years. Bitcoin's crawling into all the bond markets. Look at the yields. You can have 64% from Bitcoin, or you could have 2%, 3%, 4%, or 5% for the bonds. Bitcoin is going to take a place in the 60-40 portfolio. Right now, people talk about 1 to 3% allocation. That's going to move to 10 to 20% allocation as soon as people get their hands around this. I don't think it'll take very long. Larry Fink has become the most prominent advocate of Bitcoin. This is him on CNBC.
Now, I know you have been a
I'm
leader
not going to play this because
willing to embrace crypto.
Because you can look it up, but I want to stay on schedule. Lots of entities buying Bitcoin. Now 2.5 million Bitcoin held by ETFs, countries, private companies, public companies.
The crypto market is showing impressive strength, with analysts predicting Bitcoin could hit $16,000 by Christmas 2024. This forecast is supported by clear patterns demonstrating Bitcoin's potential for continued growth. One prominent analyst, TradingShot, has likened this rally to Bitcoin's massive surge in late 2020, when it skyrocketed by 395% over just a few months. Back then, Bitcoin consistently stayed above the key 50-day moving average, which served as a strong support level. Today, a similar pattern is unfolding. As long as Bitcoin remains above this critical threshold, analysts believe its upward momentum is likely to persist, driving its price to new heights. Now, let's dive back into more exciting insights from Michael Saylor.
The Strategic Bitcoin Reserve was introduced by Senator Lummis at Bitcoin Nashville. At that point, the outcome of the election was uncertain. If it had been a split Congress, if it had not been a red wave, it would have been a challenge. This was unclear 10 days ago, but today you have a pro-Bitcoin White House, pro-Bitcoin House of Reps, and a pro-Bitcoin Senate, and a pro-Bitcoin senator that has made her mission to accomplish this. And her bill calls for 1 million Bitcoin to be purchased by the United States government over 5 years. Let's talk about the geopolitical logic. Why will it happen? Why should it happen? Well, first of all, it establishes a fair, equitable, and peaceful system to resolve political differences. We know that Donald Trump's in favor of ending endless wars. It's better to have a business outcome than a military outcome to solve problems. Go back. And this supports prosperity and lustre in a Pax Americana in the 21st century. Right? This establishes Pax Americana 21. This is a chance to own the 21st century. Like the US can own it. You address the deficit with an innovative economic idea and an innovative technical idea. You extract trillions of dollars of capital from the 20th century physical and financial economy. But as the money flows out of physical and financial assets, it flows into Bitcoin, and the United States can own all the Bitcoin. So the United States is the beneficiary of the passage from the 20th to the 21st century. Own the 21st century. This is where all the money's going. You might as well buy it before it gets there. This cements the US dollar as the world reserve currency, and it also establishes a world reserve capital network that the US also owns and controls. Right? The best way to protect the dollar is make sure that we retire the debt and we become rich. The next best way to protect the dollar is to make sure that if anybody ever considers a different capital asset other than the Treasury bill, you own it. Well, there's only two capital assets that make any sense. The 20th century asset was the Treasury bill. The 21st century asset is Bitcoin. If you own both of them, you can't lose. You can only win. Any movement away from treasuries is going to go toward Bitcoin. The obvious thing to do is just buy it before everybody gets there. They either won't go and it won't matter, or they will go and you'll be a beneficiary then too. The other geopolitical brilliance of this is that you're attracting foreign capital to the US from our enemies. People are selling Chinese real estate, Russian real estate, African real estate, South American real estate. Everything in the world, they're selling it, their capital, the securities, the bonds, they're selling that in order to buy Bitcoin. And so everybody in the world, if you had $1 billion and you lived in Mexico, would you trade it for $1 billion in the US? Yes. Would you trade all your money in Cuba or Venezuela or China or Russia for a US real estate? Yes, you would. But you can't. You can't do that, right? It's impossible for Russian oligarchs to sell their Russian real estate and buy Manhattan real estate. But what they can do is buy Bitcoin. When they do, if we own it, we benefit from it. So this is about attracting capital from everywhere else in the world, bringing it to the US, where it creates US jobs, US prosperity, enriches US corporations, US institutions, US citizens, and the United States municipal, state, and federal government. Right? You want all the money in the world to come to you. And if they wanted to buy the land, it's like, well, I don't know if I can sell them the land, but they can just buy Bitcoin, and then our Bitcoin goes up by a factor of 100. This is the impact of the Lummis bill. If you crank in the assumptions, if we implement the Lummis bill, well, we're going to overcome and we're going to get the debt under control via good tax policy, good technology policy, good industrial policy, innovation, AI, robots, the like. But as we build the Bitcoin position to $17 trillion, we're going to retire and convert the net debt position to be something which is very de minimis. So, yeah, is this a good idea? Yeah. Why? Because if I'm wrong, it costs nothing. If I'm wrong, it costs nothing. You're paying for it with money you printed, which cost nothing. It's literally like a penny on $100. It's like 1, 2, 3%. If I'm wrong, it costs nothing. If I'm right, you solve all your problems. Like, that's an asymmetric bet. Like, I'm giving you a 1,000-to-1 payoff, and you're betting with free money. And you're going to tell me you don't want to take the bet because you're risk averse? You have free money. It's a 1,000-to-1 payoff. That's the Lummis bill.
With lawmakers rallying behind Bitcoin, a clear path for its explosive growth and innovation is emerging. Michael Saylor urges investors to pay attention to this growing momentum, emphasizing that with such widespread support, Bitcoin is positioned for unprecedented growth. He asserts that now is the perfect moment for Bitcoin to shine. Saylor views the passage of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill as a historic opportunity for the U.S. to secure its financial future. He argues that by adopting Bitcoin, the U.S. can establish dominance in the 21st century global economy. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.